On March 11th, I introduced a private member's bill entitled the Oil Tanker Moratorium Repeal Act. It's my honor to present a private member's bill which repeals the Oil Tanker Moratorium Act. For almost a decade, the Liberal West Coast oil tanker ban has stifled our energy industry and held back our country. This new bill will repeal Bill C-48, the Liberal law which banned oil tanker loading on the north coast of British Columbia. Prime Minister Carney has committed his government to ensuring a new oil pipeline to Canada's west coast is built. The Carney government has said it would, quote, enable the export of bitumen from a strategic deepwater port to Asian markets, including, if necessary, through an appropriate adjustment to the Oil Tanker Moratorium Act, end quote. Well, Conservatives are here to help, to work with the government to make sure this important pipeline is indeed built.
We need to override the discriminatory anti-Canada ban on shipping Canadian energy overseas.
We know, however, that a new pipeline won't be built without ships at the end of the pipe to carry the oil to countries like India, Japan, and others in Asia and elsewhere in the world. Thus, a repeal of the Liberal tanker ban is a necessary step in moving forward with a pipeline. And we want to prepare the way now for this nation-building project. It is for this reason that I am pursuing a wholesale repeal of Bill C-48. The Liberal tanker ban has never been founded in science or practicality or even a genuine desire to protect the environment, and it is clear that it must go.
In 2019, the Trudeau government went further, passing the Tanker Moratorium Act. It means inside this line, tankers carrying more than 12,500 metric tons of oil can't stop.
When the Trudeau Liberals put the tanker ban in place, they argued that it was necessary to protect the environment. But that argument is completely inconsistent with the reality of commercial shipping on Canada's west coast.
We reached out to Joe Spears. He studies, teaches, and consults on marine law.
People are just too emotional, going to the extremes?
Well, we've got a lot of people talking about marine risk that have no background in marine risk.
Nearly a century of tanker traffic has sailed the west coast without a serious oil spill of Canadian crude. Tankers are statistically safer than cars, airplanes, trains, and even oil pipelines when looking at the number of shipments safely transported. Right now, the Port of Vancouver loads roughly 400 oil tankers each year, and there have been no spills. Our safety standards are world-class, and our record proves it. Speaking of shipping safety, the Liberal tanker ban only prevents loading and unloading of oil tankers on the northern BC coast. It does not prevent tanker traffic from going up and down our west coast, and many tankers do exactly that. More than 200 shipments from Alaska annually sail down the west coast, safely delivering Alaskan crude to U.S. ports on the west coast.
Oil tankers going back and forth between Alaska and refineries in the United States.
Some have argued that the tanker ban is required to protect the Hecate Strait because it's difficult to navigate. This argument seems to be based on conjecture and perhaps a few old sea stories. There are no Transport Canada risk analyses that describe the strait as particularly challenging. BC passenger ferries travel through the strait on a regular basis. Keep in mind that oil tankers don't need to pass through the Hecate Strait to transport crude oil from the northern BC coast. Rather, ships headed to international ports would sail through the Dixon Entrance and into the open ocean. Marine accidents can and do happen, but the most common causes are ship collisions and groundings. These accidents logically tend to happen when ships are near ports, and particularly when the ports are congested. The Port of Vancouver currently suffers from congestion issues, an aging infrastructure, and the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion has already increased tanker traffic there. Additional port capacity at Prince Rupert and Kitimat can reduce the pressure on the Port of Vancouver and increase shipping safety.
So the Tanker Moratorium Act basically doesn't allow tankers to anchor or discharge or load cargo in this area that you've got circled here in red, essentially.
Every year, roughly 240 tanker trips move crude oil on the St. Lawrence River between storage in Montreal and refining facilities outside of Quebec City. In Newfoundland and Labrador, about 90 oil tankers visit the Whiffen Head facility every year to load crude oil. So I have to ask, what is the logical reason why oil tankers can safely sail down the St. Lawrence River, could safely sail the coastal waters of the Maritimes, can crowd into the port of Vancouver, but can't dock in Prince Rupert? What is the logical reason why tankers can deliver oil in Newfoundland but can't load in Kitimat? The Liberal tanker ban was always about shutting down Canadian oil production, not safety or environmental protection. Today's tanker fleet is double-hulled, sails using GPS navigation technology, is extensively monitored, and when close to shore requires escort tugs and marine pilots specifically trained on the waters those ships are in. Tankers and commercial shipping are very safe.
We need to sort of look at this in a more logical way of looking at risk.
Joe Spears says people should be studying and debating that risk right now.
Canada's in the driver's seat on this, and so are the First Nations. Let's look at it in a systematic way versus restricting potentially our economic future.
For more than half a decade now, the Liberal tanker ban has been a roadblock to true nation building. It has not been just a piece of legislation, it has been a project killer. It is part of the Liberal anti-energy agenda that effectively ended the Northern Gateway Pipeline and the Indigenous-owned Eagle Spirit Energy Project. Think about that for a minute. If those projects had been allowed to move forward, Canada would already be providing energy security to countries like South Korea, Japan, and India, and not just talking about doing it. Our energy industry is world-leading in advanced technologies, environmental safety and impact, creates thousands of high-paying jobs, and fosters real economic reconciliation with Indigenous communities. And it deserves our support. Our Conservative caucus supported the government legislation that created the Major Projects Office. It is not the best solution to getting our country building again, but it was a small step in the right direction. Right now, we need to take another step in the right direction. Repeal the Liberal tanker ban and further clear the way to making Canada a true energy superpower, not just in speeches, but in reality.